Okay, everyone. I know that there are still some people who are going to be joining us, but we're just past 6 o'clock now in Calgary, and wanted to get us started to make the most of the hour that we have together this evening. My name is Dr. Dawn Johnston. I am an Associate Dean of Teaching, Learning, and Student Engagement in the Faculty of Arts at the University of Calgary, and I'm also a professor in the Department of Communication, Media, and Film. And it's my great pleasure to be able to welcome you tonight to this Arts Information Evening. The University of Calgary likes to create multiple opportunities for students to get to know a little bit about the programs and faculties that they're interested in. And last month, we held a big open house on campus where lots of folks in the Calgary area were able to come and meet us in person. But we always like to extend an opportunity for prospective students and families who might be outside of the Calgary area or across Canada or indeed around the world. And one of the most interesting parts of this Arts Information Evening each year is seeing that people really are joining us from all around the world. So wherever it is you're joining us from today, we're really excited to have you. So before we get started with introductions and our formal program, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that the University of Calgary, which is located in the heart of southern Alberta, both acknowledges and pays tribute to the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation within Alberta, which includes Nose Hill Métis District 5 and Elbow Métis District 6. And if that kind of a land acknowledgement is unfamiliar to you, depending on where you live and the sort of the practices at educational institutions where you have studied in the past, it's something you'll get to know well at the University of Calgary. We are honored to be guests on this land that has long been stewarded by the Indigenous peoples in Canada, and it's our pleasure to be able to work and live and play here, and we hope to be able to welcome you to visit these beautiful environments that we have within the Calgary area. So, our plan for our time together this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the programs in the Faculty of Arts so that you can get a sense of the diversity of programming that happens within our faculty. You're going to get a chance to meet a couple of our fantastic professors in the Faculty of Arts. Then we're going to have them do a little bit of an activity where we're asking the question of how relevant is an arts degree. And this activity is always one of my favorites because what we do is pull a news story from the Calgary Herald, a local newspaper, just this week. It was the headlines we chose were from yesterday. And we ask professors from very different academic backgrounds to talk about how someone in their field of study might respond to such a topic within the news. So we'll have a little activity there. Then after you've met a couple of our professors, you're going to get to meet a couple of our fantastic students. So we've got two students with us tonight who are highly engaged and involved in a lot of the kind of enhancement opportunities that we have in the Faculty of Arts at UCalgary. And you'll be able to hear from them a little bit about their student experience. As we close in on the last of our formal programming, we'll talk about some opportunities to enhance your degree and ways that you can you can build out extracurricular and co-curricular activities as part of your program. I'm going to introduce you to one of our our lead program advisors in the Arts Student Center, Tabri, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the Arts Student Center. And then we've got lots of time that we're going to leave at the end for questions. The way that we'll be handling questions within this webinar is through the question and answer function. So you'll be able to click on that at any point and pop a question in there. We have a diversity of people people that are here to be able to answer your questions depending on what kind of a question that you've got. And we're also going to leave you with some contact information so that if your question doesn't get answered in our time together today, then you'll be able to follow up by email and we'll make sure we get that information to you as quickly as possible. So, what can you do in the Faculty of Arts? A lot of people assume that a Faculty of Arts is a faculty of art. And while art, the creative, visual, and performing arts are definitely part of what we have in the Faculty of Arts, we also have programs in the humanities and social sciences that make the Faculty of Arts one of the biggest, it's the biggest and the most diverse faculty on campus. So, yes, we have programs like dance and drama and music and visual arts, but we also have programs like political science and economics and international relations, things like law and society, communication studies, language programs, and culture programs. So we've got a really wide variety of programs within the Faculty of Arts. Now, some of you will have already decided and feel really strongly that you solid in your choice about what you want to major in when you come to the University of Calgary, and that's fantastic. But one of the beauties of your first year of study is that there's only going to be one or two courses in your major that you're actually able to take in that first year. And all of your other courses are going to be options courses where you'll get a chance to taste the different disciplines that I just described to you and the ones that appear here in this word cloud. So it can be a great opportunity to, if you are a political science major, say, like I really need some courses in history. History seems interesting to me. So you can take a course in history. You might decide that you want to do something that's completely outside of your academic interests, but is representative of how you like to spend your leisure time or things that you're interested in outside of school, like perhaps art or film studies. So lots of really great options to be able to get a wide diversity of perspectives on what we do in a faculty of arts. So I encourage you as you're sort of thinking about, as you're putting together your application, but more importantly, when you start choosing your courses in the spring, it's going to be really important to think about like what is a variety of courses that I'd like to round out my first year experience. A lot of students also, even though they're clear on what they want as their major, when they think about what they might want to do a minor in or a certificate in, it tends to be a course that they took for the first time in first year, and it really sparked their interest. So it's always good to kind of keep an open mind about things that you might be interested in studying during your time here. So we've got two professors who've joined us here tonight, Dr. Courtney Conshu from the Department of History and Dr. Simon Spanswick from the Department of Psychology. So I'm going to turn things over to them for a little bit to tell us a little bit about who they are and what they research and teach so that you can get a sense of some of the work that's happening right now in the Faculty of Arts. Dr. Conshu, how about I start with you?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Courtney Conshu. I am an early medieval historian, so I research the period from sort of 600 to 1000, roughly. I work on specifically Northern Europe, and that means a lot of connections between Vikings and early medieval England and the Franks, lots of topics like trade, communication, Christianization, intersection of religions. And because of the period I work on, we don't actually have a lot of written sources for my period. So we look at the written sources that we have, but we also look at material culture. So objects, that means things like fancy pieces of jewelry, but also buildings or archaeological remains in the landscape or the landscapes themselves and how they were used. Um, and I try to do that in my teaching as well. So in my courses in the history department, I have a survey course that goes from 400 to 1600 and does all of Europe and the Middle East. But I've also got courses that look more specifically at just the Vikings or just early medieval England or the Franks. Right now, I'm teaching a really fun course with some fourth year bachelor students where they have been designing a simulation of a 6th century assembly site So a site where people used to get together and do legal proceedings, but also meet new people, do a market, and just have fun. So they've been designing that for my second year survey class, which is an early medieval survey. And my students are playing this simulation right now. So one of them was King Chilperic in the late 6th century. There is a couple of poets who are wandering around trying to find patrons. There are various serfs who are looking for spouses or apprenticeships for their children. And there are lots of counts and bishops who are trying to solve legal disputes. That's been really fun. That's a fun thing that we like to do in the history department. I know that there's a couple of other profs who do simulations. One is doing a pirate simulation. Um, yeah, and so we like to get you to read these primary sources from whatever period it is that we study so that you can, first of all, learn to read critically, but then also try to understand what it's like to be a human in a different society than the one that we're in right now. And by doing that, both of those things, reading critically and imagining a different world, that helps you to better understand the society that we live in today. So the close reading of primary sources means that you'll become more critical about newspaper headlines or new laws that are being introduced by the government. And then the other type of source that I like to work with, objects, by having you look at pieces of jewelry or altars, religious symbols, things like that. That's another way of reading cultures, reading how societies use symbols to depict themselves. So that will, again, just help you to be more aware of what's going on in the world around you and more critical of these things. So one of the assignments in my first year survey course works with a 3D printing lab in engineering, and all of my students get to find a medieval object. I have a database online that you can look at, 3D print it, usually a couple of times to make it the right color and size and detail. And then we work together with the Nickel Gallery on campus to make an exhibition of these 3D printed objects where students research their object and the time period it belongs to. And it's on public display for a few days at the end of semester. This semester, a couple of students printed out a knight's helm, a reliquary cross that is supposed to have had a piece of wood from the true cross that Jesus was crucified on within it. Probably not actually, but that's what they said in the 12th century. And some Pictish crosses from the 6th and 7th century. So it was really exciting.
That's amazing. Wow. And I love how the things you're doing with your students are really expanding what they might think history is about. Because I think a lot of folks who think of history probably think we're going to do a lot of reading and a lot of writing, but aren't expecting that kind of hands-on experience you're describing of sort of working with objects, making objects, and yeah, really engaging that in that sort of imagination work that you mentioned.
But we do a lot of reading and writing as
That
well.
too. Absolutely. Full disclosure to prospective students. Yeah, absolutely. But really excited to hear about some of those things are happening. And I think it's really useful that you pointed out that a lot of these hands-on learning experiences are happening in those first year courses. So it's not like students have to wait until their final year to get to do some of those things. So really excited to see that throughout the history program. Thank you for telling us a bit about it. How about you, Dr. Spanswick? Tell us a little bit about your work in psychology.
Hello, everyone. As Dr. Johnson mentioned, my name is Simon Spanswick. I'm an associate professor in the psychology department, and this is exactly what I love about this evening. Like, there are so many cool courses that I want to take now in history. It sounds absolutely fascinating. Um, what I also love is a lot of us are taking a similar approach, this student engagement, active learning approach in our courses. So to disclose, I'm not actually a psychologist. Believe it or not, I'm a neuroscientist that happens to work in a psychology department.
Mhm.
My interest is trying to understand learning and memory processes in the brain. And I actually work in a rat model. So
Oops. Oh, Simon, we lost you there, your audio. I think you might have muted yourself by
Oh,
accident.
no.
We
Okay, there we
lost
go.
you
Right.
I think we lost you at the word rat.
The word rats, you know what? That usually does lose a lot of people. So I work in a rat model to try and understand learning and memory processes. So what we're looking for is the actual location in the brain, the change in the brain that occurs when you learn and remember something. I'm using that information to inform my educational practice. So actually, a lot of what we know about how we learn and remember can be applied in the classroom setting. And just like you heard about the history department, the psychology department also takes a hands-on approach. And you heard about 3D printing and using it to discuss history. One of the things that we're doing is we're using 3D printers to help us design structures such that we can section brains a little bit better. Students in our classes are actively sectioning brains and exploring the different components that make up a sheep brain, in this case, and discuss the analogs we see in the human brain. One of the other things that we do that I'm quite proud of is you heard me say rats. I hope I didn't lose you all. We have a rat lab in psychology. And so, what's really cool about this is students get hands-on experience running a number of behavioral experiments and working with rats throughout the semester. Um, what I love most about the course is seeing the initial sort of trepidation that students have about working with a rodent, which is understandable. But as they progress and get that hands-on experience, and come to appreciate the value of working with a non-human species to help us understand brain and behavior processes.
That's amazing. Um, just because, Simon, I know that you've identified that you work within a really particular area of
Yep.
psychology. What are some of the other areas that students would be learning about in psychology in their first year, for instance?
Great. So, this again is what I love about the Faculty of Arts is our diverse approach to trying to understand the human condition. And so, whether you're talking about history or fine art or dance or psychology, we all have our sort of niche area that can contribute to understanding the phenomena. In psychology, again, it's quite broad. In your first year, you're going to learn about social psychology, so how humans interact with one another. Industrial organizational psychology, so psychology applied to the workplace. Clinical psychology, so a lot of our students are interested in becoming clinicians, another area that people are interested in. Development, cognition, how people think. And my favorite, of course, neuroscience. So, what's going on in the brain of humans and non-humans alike when they're actively behaving? So, it really is incredibly broad and a diverse approach to trying to understand behavior.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm always so glad to have you at one of these events to kind of show students that the Faculty of Arts is much broader than they would expect, and that we have scientists in the Faculty of Arts, and we have economists, and we have all kinds of other disciplines represented within that environment. Okay, we can go to the next slide now, Chioma. So this is a question that I always like to pose to our professors and give them very little time to think about it. But what we like to do is choose a headline from today's or yesterday's news, and in this case, this was a news headline in the Calgary Herald yesterday that says Alberta seeks to change existing drug coverage, allowing physicians to work in public and private sectors. And this has been a very hot topic in Alberta lately because it engages all kinds of questions about public versus private healthcare and what it means to make significant changes to how healthcare is delivered. But you might think to yourself, well, this is a topic that would be interested to people who are studying nursing or people who are studying medicine. But this is actually of interest to almost every discipline within the Faculty of Arts. So, what I've asked our two professors who are with us tonight is to talk a little bit about how someone in their field of study might engage with this topic. So Courtney, can we go back to you this time?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing I think of when I look at this in terms of a content perspective, how a historian would approach it is we might look at the role of healthcare in the development of states. That healthcare emerged as a state-provided thing in the late 19th century as nation states were forming, and that the public welfare system is really integral to the development of states. And we might look at the role of democracy and how stable or robust a democracy is in relation to how well the benefits are kept up over time, and how changes over time affect that. Another way that a historian would look at this, and I think a way that a student with a history degree would look at this, because of all the reading that we do, and especially the close reading that we practice, is we would look at the wording in this headline and wonder what exactly this author and this newspaper is trying to say. And in particular, Alberta seeks to change the coverage and allow physicians to work in public and private sectors. So what does that wording mean, allow physicians? That sounds to me like this author thinks this is a positive thing that is expanding physicians' opportunities. And if we look again at the gray sentence below that, Bill 11 on the second line, if passed, would advance the province's refocusing of the healthcare system. That word advance there really is a trigger for me because, again, that sounds really positive. That sounds like progress, which would make me think, let's look at this author and this newspaper. What political direction do they come from? Because they are either very, very carefully being quite neutral on this topic or are even supporting in favor of what the government is suggesting, which gives me a whole different perspective on the article. Now I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical when I read it because I think the author of this text is in favor of the legislation, is not necessarily going to provide me an unbiased view of the article.
Great observations. Thank you. Yeah. And those are the kinds of things you're mentioning there are things that somebody in my discipline would be interested in as well, particularly that idea of I come from communication and media studies. How does the media frame messages? How does the way that messages are framed impact how an audience understands a complex issue? And questions around, whether there's even any such thing as neutrality within the press. So yeah, great observations. How about you, Simon?
This is exactly why I love the Faculty of Arts. It's because I never would have perceived this article in that manner. As someone in a psychology department, and this topic appears, it's not necessarily a brand new topic. It pops up every once in a while in Canada. Canadians are very proud of their healthcare system, but there's definitely a debate as to whether or not we should privatize things. And thinking about it through a psychological lens. What I've noticed is when we look at the general public's perception of this, one of the questions that pops up is this a fair way in which we can administer our health system? So is there equity in terms of access? And in thinking about that, as Dr. Johnston mentioned, psychology is incredibly broad. And one of the cool things is each of the fields of psychology will take a slightly different perspective on how we think about fairness. And so, for example, a social psychologist would consider how an individual might consider something as fair or not. So let's think about it from this lens. It turns out if you are resource poor, you don't have a lot of access to resources, you're more likely in the name of fairness to say, you know what, everything should be divided equally. Everyone should have access to the same type of healthcare in this case. If you're an individual that has access to more resources, what you tend to see in these folks is, well, maybe some people work harder, maybe some people have a specific skill set, so maybe they deserve a slightly bigger piece of the pie. Um, I also think about it from an IO psychology perspective. So there's a whole host of research that's been done examining fairness in the workplace. And I took the perspective of two physicians, one who might be working in the private side of things and the one who might be working in the public side of things. And what you have is this perception that the individual working in private, if they're bringing in a lot more money, say, for example, um, is sort of outweighed in the sense that the individual working in public thinks, well, this is unreasonable, this is unfair. And what's really cool when you look at people that have this perception that things aren't fair in the workplace, they're more likely to steal from the workplace. Hey, I'm going to take this pen. It's not mine, but this is something that I can take to make things more fair. Those post-it notes on my desk, I'm going to take those home, right? It's a little thing that I can do to restore equality between individuals. What's even cooler than this, and it was a colleague of mine that reminded me today, there's a really cool paper that's been published from the University of Calgary, and it's work between an IO psychologist, so a psychologist interested in fairness in the workplace, and a neuroscientist. And the question was, can we build an animal model of fairness in the workplace? And it turns out the answer is yes, you can. You can use rats as a model to figure out or examine fairness in the workplace. It turns out if you cheat a rat out of a reward, so it's no longer fair. That rat becomes more aggressive, more angry towards its colleagues, and you see an increase in stress hormones in that animal. And so I think it's a beautiful example of different approaches to something like this article and how in the Faculty of Arts we see these really cool collaborations between people that have very different approaches to understanding the human condition.
That's fascinating. I did not know that particular experiment that had been run around rats and that perception of fairness. So yeah, that's neat. There's so much to learn on this and other topics. Thank you so much for participating in that little activity. Professors were delighted to hear how people in your disciplines might approach this topic. Okay. So, a few things that I want to mention that you should be thinking about as you're sort of, shifting from thinking specifically about some of the courses that we've just talked about into other options to round out your degree as a student in the Faculty of Arts. One of the things we also always like to emphasize to students is the co-op program. Cooperative education is designed to give students a chance to get, hands-on workplace experience throughout the second half of their degree, where they're alternating between paid work terms and then their academic study terms. And co-op is something that we know that it's very popular with students. It's also super popular with parents who are wondering, how is my kid going to get great work experience to be able to graduate and be ready to enter the workplace? So co-op is a great thing to be thinking about. So students who are in a co-op degree program, which can be done with any of our, well, 95% of our degree programs. We're working on the last two right now, but you can add a co-op option to your program, which will mean that you spend your first 2 years in academic study, and then for the remainder of your degree, you alternate between work terms and academic terms. And what's really nice about that is that you can explore career options while earning an income, develop workplace skills, receive support around things like workplace preparedness, how to apply for a job, what your resume should look like, what some interview skills are. And you get to network with professionals and develop great references. All of that happens in combination with you going back and forth between the academic components of your degree program and that career exploration. So you really have the chance to get a sense of how the things that you're working or that you're learning in an academic class become relevant in the workplace, and how the things that you're doing in the workplace can actually spark your interest in different parts of your academic studies as well. So co-op is a super popular option, and one, if not both, of our students who are going to be speaking tonight are in the co-op program. So if you have questions about co-op afterwards, we might be able to have them weigh in on those questions as well. So it's great to think about, if this is something you're interested in, you don't need to worry about it yet. Typically, what we tell students is inquire about co-op during your first year. So once you've landed on campus and have gotten settled, you're going to make an appointment to talk to a program advisor and learn a little bit more about the expectations of the co-op program and how that would fit into your academic program of study. So in your first year, great time to think about it and inquire about it. Then in fall of your second year, you would actually apply to the co-op program, and once you're accepted, you would start doing your work terms after your second year. So if you've got questions, you can always reach out to our co-op team at artscoop@ucalgary.ca. Or you can just reach out to our general advising center as well, and they can give you some guidance as well. But definitely an interesting thing to keep in mind. Another great option for enhancing your degree is ASHA, which is the Arts and Science Honors Academy, and someone like Simon who spans I just use spans, and your name is Spanswick, but who spans science and arts in an academic approach. This is would be right up his alley, because this is a sort of an interdisciplinary program that students take as part of their general degree program, where they form a small cohort of between 30 and 40 students who take courses that are designed to bring together arts and science perspectives on different topics. So students all take a course together in their first year called Ways of Making and Knowing. In their second year, it's called Questions for Our Time, and in their final, or sorry, and they do a course called Questions for Our Time and The Nature of Research. In their third year, they participate in an experiential learning activity, which for some students is international study. For others, it might be an intercultural volunteer experience. Some students will take on sort of a deep dive into a research placement. So it's designed to give you a chance to really get involved in experiential learning. And then in the final year, the ASHA students come back together with their cohort to complete their honors requirement and to do a capstone course on what they've learned throughout their program. It's a really, really neat program if you are someone who is genuinely interested in both science subjects and arts subjects. And we typically have about half arts students and half science students who go into each cohort. It is a competitive entry program. We open up the invitation to apply for ASHA to students who have at least 85% in their high school grade. So we're looking at high achieving students, and we're looking for students who have a real interest in leadership and community engagement. The applications for ASHA usually open up in February each year. And if you've got questions about ASHA or think you might be interested, you can visit the ASHA webpage, or you can email asha@ucalgary.ca, and you can learn a little bit more about that. And I know that at least one of our students who's on our student panel tonight is in ASHA, so could probably give you a few observations on it as well. So I want to now quickly turn things over to my colleague Tabri to talk a little bit about the Arts Student Center. So why a student might come to the Arts Student Center, what it is that they can support you with, and how to get in touch. Tabri?
Hi, everyone. As Dawn said, my name is Tabri. I work at the Art Student Center. Um, We have lots of different ways that you can connect with us. We have phone advising. Once you're on campus, you can come for in-person advising. We do booked appointments, drop-in advising. We have an email address listed there as well. Different reasons why you might come to the Art Student Center. The reason we have the Art Student Center is to help guide students through their degree. What courses should I take? What's the prerequisite for this course? If you are doing some sort of experiential learning through an international exchange, for example, working with us on how will these courses transfer back into my degree. Sometimes we have students come in and they're not really sure what degree they want to complete. They're in a certain program, they're unsure about it. They're thinking about a different program in the Faculty of Arts. We can assist with talking about the different options, admission requirements within Faculty of Arts programs. And then at the very end of your degree, we encourage students to come to meet with an advisor to just make sure everything looks good for graduation and that there's no surprises at the end. But yeah, it's always good to see students come in once a year just to kind of connect for the next year of courses, of what you can, um, and also as well, like what can you add on to your degree? Because there's so many different things that you can do
Mhm.
to add on to your degree. It's hard to even know what's all available. And we're kind of there to help out with that as well. So yeah, hope to see hope to see you all next year.
That's great. Thanks, Tabry. Yeah, it's we always tell like to make sure that prospective students know that that the program advisors in the Art Student Centers are the experts on your program. And they're going to be able to make sure that you are doing your courses in the right order so that you don't end up falling behind or missing out on a course that's required before the one at the next level. And you may have friends or family members who have studied previously at university or even at the University of Calgary, and they might have lots of opinions about what you should do and which courses you should take. It's great to get that perspective, but when you want to when you're looking for hard and fast advice about the nuts and bolts of your program, you definitely want to make sure you're talking to a program advisor. So make sure you reach out to them when the time comes. And now the part that you're probably most interested in is hearing a little bit about the student experience in the Faculty of Arts. So we have two students who are joining us tonight, Akani Fujiwara and Marty Martinowski, and they're both students in the Faculty of Arts in different programs. So I'm going to ask each of them first to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what year they're in and what they're studying. And then I'm going to ask each of them a handful of questions that students often like to hear answers to when it comes to their decision-making process about university. So, Akani, do you want to start off?
Sounds good. Nice to meet you. I'm Akane Fujiwara. I'm fourth year economics student with honors program. I'm working at co-op program with an electricity company right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Akani, are you an international student?
I am an international student and also I'm a transferred student from university back in Japan, where I'm
Oh,
from.
interesting. Okay, so you
Yeah,
started university in Japan and then came here.
yes.
Great. Excellent. Okay. And Marty, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marty Martinowski. I'm a fourth year international relations student, and I'm doing a minor in economics. I'm also the president of the Faculty of Arts Student Association, which I'll talk just a little bit about later. And I'm the student in the Arts and Science Honors Academy, so please feel free to ask me any questions related to it during the Q&A period. Thank
That's
you.
great. Thanks, Marty. So, Akani, I'll start with you. Can you tell us about like one or two courses that you've taken throughout your degree, either in your major or in another topic, that you really
Okay.
loved and that count amongst your favorite courses?
Sounds good. Maybe one from my major and one from like elective classes.
Cool.
The course I liked for my major, which is economics, is game theory. I think people heard of that. The most famous one is the Prisoner's Dilemma.
Mm.
hmm that in that course, you'll like apply what you're learning for second year
Hmm.
to like actual world. Why does war happen? Like how do politicians make choices? I
Ooh,
thought that was really cool thing to learn, like
yeah.
using math. And the other class I liked, it's not econ class, it's a Chinese class actually.
Ah,
I was interested in Chinese, so I took a Chinese class. And what I really liked about it is the teacher.
right.
Like we would do like craft nights, or we would do a little Chinese Lunar Year party. They had like a competition, Chinese competition,
Hmm.
where you get like I think I got $50 by winning it. I really liked it.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. These
That's
are the
great.
classes I liked.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's those language we've you can take courses in so many different language and cultures within our faculty, and it's a really neat opportunity to get a glimpse into a different sort of cultural and linguistic environment. Marty, how about you? What are a couple of courses that you've loved?
The courses that I like tend to be when I came in, I liked larger classes, and that's kind of how the structure is. But as I went along in my degree, I like smaller classes. The smaller, the better, in my opinion. Now,
Mm,
at this stage in my degree, so I also picked out two classes. Number one is an ASHA class, so that's Arts and Science Honors Academy. What really stood out about it to me was it was a very small class size. It's a seminar environment, which for those in high school or who are about to transfer, that might be unfamiliar. But a seminar is an environment where you can hear much more directly from other classmates as well as the professor as you engage on lots of really relevant issues.
hmm.
And for me, that class taught me how to express my opinion, how to debate, how to go along with multiple perspectives that I might not agree with, but still engage them really respectfully. And the second class I actually picked out has a lot of those themes, and that was a political science class. In my degree as international relations, I do take a lot of political science classes. And this particular one is on complex governance. And what I really liked about it is we had a lot of key engaging texts, things that you hear about when you're younger, but never really read. At least that was my case. Like John Locke, Hayek, these seminal thinkers, we got to really engage with them, deconstruct their arguments, and talk about them in class. What I really liked is that no answer is necessarily wrong as long as you back it up with facts. That was just a really fun exercise that I liked. Yeah.
That's great, thanks. And I like how both of the examples that you emphasized there were focusing on that idea of people from very different backgrounds with very different perspectives and opinions coming together and finding respectful ways to engage in dialogue and debate. And I mean that's increasingly important in our world. And yeah, it's great that you're getting some of those experiences. Another question, like what would you say is one of your favorite either like extracurricular activities or things that you're doing in addition to the sort of the major subjects of your study? Marty, maybe I'll start with you this time and then go to Akane.
Sure. And this is where I can be a shameless plug for Faculty of Arts Student Association. Right now, I'm the president, but I didn't start out there. I started off at the bottom in the trenches, trying to learn what FACET does and how we contribute to the arts community broadly. We represent over 8,000 art students. And for me, it was a really good supplement to my degree because I learned lots of leadership skills. Starting out from the bottom rung all the way to the top, I learned the inner structures of student governance. So whoever's interested in student governance right now, if you're in high school, if you're a transfer student, class is probably something you'll want to check out when you come here. And if you were anything like me in high school, I wasn't all that interested in student governance. But when I came here, I kind of changed my mind after some time. So even if it doesn't seem like it's something necessarily for you, I'd encourage you to check us out. We have a lot of things going on for the campus community. And that's what I love about it is helping build that campus community, helping give guidance to new students who are coming in. And that's, I would say, the most impactful extracurricular activity that I've heard for university.
That's great. Thanks, Marty. Yeah, the Faculty of Arts Student Association, which you will all be part of if you become Faculty of Arts students, they're constantly hosting events from, academic support events to social events to, de-stress events during the exam period. And it's a really great way to get to know other students, but also just to feel like part of a community here in the Faculty of Arts. So thanks for mentioning that one, Marty. How about you, Akane?
It's similar to Marty. I'm also a part of a club. It's Japanese club, and I'm a president there. I think that's the activity I enjoy other than school because you get to organize the event and you
Mhm.
get to like organize yourself because you need to book rooms.
Yeah.
Like you need to like give tasks to your like coworkers, executives.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make connection, not only friendship but something more than friendship. I really enjoyed that experience. And if I could mention another thing,
Yeah.
I think the Pure, that program for undergraduate research experience, I enjoyed that too. Did it this summer for 16 weeks. It's an experience you can get with a professor and you can do research with them. I think it was a really good opportunity to learn like how I would enjoy the researches because if you go to grad school, which some of you guys might go, I wanted to experience what I'm gonna get in there before I actually get in there. So I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that I like it, and I think it's a great way to get involved in research. And also you get fund from university, so you don't need to think about it's gonna cost.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Those
yeah,
are those are both great ones to point out, Akane. The that program for undergraduate research experience pays students to undertake research experiences working with professors in the summer, and such a great experience if you're interested in that. And one of the real benefits of being at a major research university like University of Calgary is that you have those opportunities for summer student experiences. And I'm glad that you also mentioned the Japanese club. All the things that you mentioned about it, I think are super important. But I also know that for a lot of international students who may be leaving home for the first time and coming to a very different geographic and cultural environment, we have clubs that represent sort of homelands around the world, and it's a great opportunity to meet people. Like when you're feeling a little bit homesick, it can be nice to meet other people who are from where you're from or have experiences
definitely.
traveling there. So yeah, those are great examples. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask one. This is going to be a quick fire question. So, just one piece of advice that you might give to students who are the students who are here tonight and who are joining us on Facebook Live are making some difficult decisions right now about where they're going to go to university and what they're going to study. Is there one piece of advice that you would give them to help them make that decision and hopefully help them decide to join us at the University of Calgary? Akani, I'll go first to you and then to Marty.
That sounds good. As an international student, I really wanted to learn English here. So first reason why I chose here is because they have a language school here with U of C,
Yes.
within U of C. And I started with that language school actually, and that prepared me really well to get into the actual undergrad.
Mm.
And the experience there helped me applying to the university as well. And I really like those supports I got when I applied to U of C. That's the
Excellent.
biggest reason why I chose U of C
Well, that's
as an
great to hear.
international student.
Excellent. Excellent. It's something that will certainly be relevant to a lot of the folks who are listening to us today. How about you, Marty?
Actually, I have two quick pieces of advice.
Yeah.
One relates to choosing the university, and then the second one relates to choosing your major. The first one, for me, Calgary. For me, why Calgary? I think Calgary's a big enough place that it has amazing opportunities. but yet it's small enough that you can have the real human connection.
Mhm.
That's why I think UCalgary is probably one of the best universities you can go to for undergrad, is
For
because of
sure.
that reason right there. Now, on picking your major, do what you're excited about, not what you're interested in. I'll tell you what I mean. You might say, what's the difference? When you're reading through some of the courses that we offer, don't just pick the courses that you maybe feel like you have to like. Let's say if you're very interested in finance, yet you're going through the list of courses and you just don't feel that spark within you, I would recommend probably you don't want to choose finance. But let's say you're going through economics to take Akane's major here. You're going through the economics um, list and you feel just a spark that you love all the course descriptions that you're reading. That's probably the major you're going to want to go. So choose what you're excited about, not what you're interested
That's a great piece of advice and useful to think about those things because I too as an undergraduate student decided in advance what I was going to do and then when I started reading through all the courses that were involved for me it was a minor. I thought that's not what I thought it was going to be and there's something else that actually seems to be speaking to me more. So it's good to be attuned to that and those are great suggestions. Okay, so I'm so grateful to all of our panelists. We have a few minutes left. We've got about 8 minutes left where we can answer some of your questions. So now's a great time for you to excuse me, put your questions into the Q&A function. And some of these I might ask and answer out loud, and some we've got folks who can answer directly in that chat. So there's one. We've got three questions from Adam, or Adam is just what we're calling everybody. But Adam's first question, Simon, I think might be a great one for you to answer. So, can psychology students take neuropsychology classes? And are there interdisciplinary classes for things like the gut biome impact on the brain? Um, Simon, is that something you can answer?
Yeah, totally can answer that. Psychology students are, at the very least, required in their second year to take Introduction to Brain and Behavior. So that's one of the courses that all students take, regardless of your interest. What's really cool is if you've taken Introduction to Brain and Behavior, there are a number of neuroscience themed courses that you can take. Everything from learning and memory, which is one of the ones that I teach, to drugs and behavior, sleep and circadian rhythms, the behavioral neuroscience lab, that's where you get to work with rats. There's no specific course that just covers gut biome impact on the brain, but because it's become recognized as an incredibly important interaction, it now forms a component of a number of different classes. There are specific neuropsychology classes. So we do run a human neuropsychology course, Psych 479, that you also have access to. One more plug, if I can make it. One of the other cool things is psychology students also have access to neuroscience research. And so there are people at the University of Calgary that are studying this very phenomena.
That's great. Thank you so much, Simon. Um, Another question, here's another one from Adam that I can answer, and this is around international opportunities to study abroad, to round out education. That's something that the University of Calgary has invested in significantly over the last decade or so. We've got partnerships with literally hundreds of universities around the world where our students can go and spend a semester or a year in a country of their choosing at a university that we have a transfer agreement with, where you can go and take courses there, and those will count towards your degree here at the University of Calgary. So if you're looking for those longer study abroad opportunities, there are lots of those available. always make a plug here to make sure you're talking to your program advisor, because you want to make sure that whatever courses that you're taking are going to transfer back smoothly into your U of C degree. So good idea to check with them before you go, and to be in touch with them again when you return. The other thing that I always want to mention for the University of Calgary is that we do something called group study programs. And this is not something that's done by a lot of universities, and it's something that we're really proud of. So, group study programs are programs where a University of Calgary professor or a group of professors will take a group of University of Calgary students on a short-term study abroad experience. So, I used to teach a program that was on globalization and culinary tourism in Spain. So I worked with another professor, and we would take a group of University of Calgary students to Spain, where we would spend 3 weeks learning about things like farming and trade and restaurant culture and agriculture and really, really neat experiences, sort of hands-on in the country that you're studying. But with kind of the safety and security of traveling with, some people that you know and professors that you might have taken classes with before. And these are usually shorter term programs that happen in the spring or towards the end of the summer. So those are great options to keep in mind as well for international experiences. We typically tell students that the best year to go, like I always think the best year is always like third year, as the ideal time to go abroad, because you've got a couple of years of study under your belt. You're feeling confident about your academics, and you're ready to explore some of that in a different environment. But it can be done between your second and final year as well. Um, I see. Okay, we've got a question here that Tabri might be useful for you to answer. I've been accepted into the undeclared Bachelor of Arts at University of Calgary. Even though I'm under the Faculty of Arts, can I take classes in other faculties? For example, could I take 5 classes? I can take 5 classes under the Faculty of Arts, but as undeclared, could I also take classes somewhere like kinesiology?
Yeah, so any art student, no matter if you have a major declared or not, or if you are undeclared, you can take classes through other faculties. You'll find that all the programs that we offer, not just through arts, through the other faculties at the university, there's certain courses that are required to be taken in the first year. So if there are required courses for, say, a kinesiology student, a biology student, or a psychology student, if you're in that major, you will have priority registration access for those particular courses. So in that sense, as if you are an art student and you want to take a kinesiology class, you do need to wait until all the kinesiology students have registered first, and then the faculty will open it up to anybody else that would like to take the class. So the short answer is yes, you can. The longer answer is you can't register immediately as soon as it opens, but later on it will open to lots of different courses and different faculties.
That's great. Thank you so much. Um, Monmoy, I'll just mention that there's a couple of questions in the Q&A around scholarships. So if you could pop in and answer those in writing, that would be great. There's a couple here that I want to quickly answer. First, that one from anonymous attendee about how soon you can participate in a study abroad. Second year would be the earliest point at which you can do it. But like I said, we usually recommend to students that they think about, sort of the end of second year into third year as kind of an ideal time to do it. But you can do it as soon as your second year. I'm also going to answer the question about opportunities for research in sociology. I so wish that we had a third professor, Dr. Aisha Mian Akram from the Department of Sociology, who was supposed to be with us tonight, but she had a sick kiddo. So she would have been able to answer this even better. But I will say that there are incredible opportunities to get involved with research and with community engaged learning in the sociology department. One of our professors in sociology does a lot of work with unhoused communities and understanding sort of the social determinants of homelessness. We've got folks who do research in aging communities, in youth communities, in immigrant communities, and all of those professors have opportunities to work with students on research in the discipline. So really, really great opportunities to get involved. Okay, so I know there's a few more questions here that we will stick around to answer in writing to make sure that you've got the answers that you need. But in the meantime, I see it is 7 o'clock and that Calgary time. I'm not sure what time it might be where you all are, but it is time for us to finish up this session. I want to draw your attention to this final slide, which has contact information for the Arts Advising Center. So if you have a question that didn't get answered tonight, or if you think of something after this session that you're looking for an answer to, just send an email to artsads@ucalgary.ca, and someone will get back to you within a couple of days to answer your question. It's been a total pleasure hosting folks tonight. Really hope that you've had a chance to learn a little bit more about the Faculty of Arts and the University of Calgary. Good luck as you're making some big decisions about your university studies in the coming weeks and months. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can help you out in any way. Big thank you to my student panelists, Akani and Marty, and my faculty panelists, Dr. Konshu and Dr. Spanswick, the fantastic Tabri from the Arts Student Center, and Chioma, who's been hiding in the background, advancing slides and getting us organized for today. So really grateful to all of you, as well as to Monmoy from the Central Recruitment Team for being here to help us out tonight. Hope you have a great night. Like I said, we'll answer the last few questions that are in the Q&A, but otherwise we will close off this session now and hope you have a great night.